Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Another episode of Building Better Bodies with Deven and the Docs. This is Deven Brady, the personal trainer and bodybuilding coach, and I am his student and a chiropractor, Dr. Amir Rashidian, with Mid-Atlantic Chiropractic Center, and we were just having a great conversation. So we didn't record. We started talking, and I think we talked for like 20 minutes. And we're thinking that right there would have been a good video because that was pretty interesting. And what we were talking about is the people we run into in the gym, you know, and having been going there now, I've been going 6 days a week for a while. I used to only go 3 days a week, but you know who's there all the time. And we were going, okay, so what's the problem with that one, and what's the problem with that one, and why is that one doing this, and how is it that one's getting so many good results, you know, while the other one's not doing it? And we're like, okay, it seems like it boils down to like 4 categories of people. And so we're going to break this down for them, right, for you. We're going to break it down. I want you to be thinking about what kind of category am I in when you listen to these. Am I type 1, type 2, type 3, type 4? And we'll tell you the names of those categories as well that we came up with. And then here's what's really, really important. I want you to ask yourself, does that only apply to me in my fitness life? Or does that leak into my professional life, into my family life, into my relationships? Is it affecting all those things? Which category do I want to be, and in what areas of life do I want that to manifest? So what we're going to do is start with number 1. It all started out because of a little bit of a concern about one of your clients, one of your students.
That's right. So, first of all, I want to clear the air with those folks viewing from home is that, I don't want to give you guys the impression that Dr. Amir and I are kind of, sitting aloft in the gym and heckling like the two Muppets up in the second floor. But the fact of the matter is that looking at trends, observing human behavior is incredibly important. As a health professional, I need to understand the pitfalls and challenges that most people in the population face in the demographics I'm going to be dealing with, so that I can help my clients to achieve those challenges and overcome them effectively. So it is a helpful tool as a trainer, as a health professional, to talk about some things we see, and I'm sure you do the same in chiropractic.
Always.
You always know the trends, the things that people like to do, some of the things that people push to the side, some of the exercise routines and the rehabilitation programs that you ask somebody to perform, and they're always willing to push to the background because they get lazy or they don't have time or they don't know. So knowing that people have a tendency to perform X behavior allows you to plan for Y solutions. So for that reason, that's kind of what overall fueled this topic. And I shared with Dr. Amir a personal circumstance of one of my clients that I'm working with now, who is all of 4 of these categories are going to distinguish themselves, but they're all going to evolve around the same general topic of effort. It all comes back to effort. That's the word we're going to kind of focus on as our keynote today in this video. And we're going to categorize people into 4 very generalized groups that all have to do with personal effort. So, and again, this is something that we are using in the realm of bodybuilding, in the gym, and fitness. But obviously, I think a lot of people at home will be able to figure out how this effort can be applied to other areas and aspects of their lives, and where they fit in those other realms. So category 1, for those people watching at home, and for this particular person I'm talking about in this example, is what we like to call the strong starter. So this is somebody that's probably very highly motivated, and I use that word because motivation to me is a fleeting emotion. So it's not something that you can depend on 100% of the time.
It's like brushing your teeth. You got to do it again the next day.
That's right.
Or that night.
That's right. That's right. And how many of us at home are watching this video are super excited to brush our teeth? Really very few. There's probably some dental hygienists out there that really love it. But other than that, most people aren't highly motivated to brush their teeth, but rather they've been disciplined to brush their teeth multiple times a day, every day, without fail. The gym and certainly physical pursuits are no different. If we're relying on motivation purely to be the catalyst by which we see change and see effort being made, then it's going to be there when motivation is high. And in those inevitable times where motivation is low, it will be fleeting. It will leave us. And for that reason, I think that helps us to shape and understand those folks and individuals in category 1. These are people where for a certain period of time, their effort and their motivation are in perfect alignment. And as a result, things are very good very rapidly, right? So they're dedicated, they're focused, they're locked. They know what they want to do and they pursue it. And they oftentimes see maximal effort and great results, and it comes very quickly. And that in itself can be something that keeps that motivation train going for a while. It's a wonderful positive feedback loop, but inevitably there will be something in our life that will affect our motivation, okay? There's a change in our job, there's a change in our lifestyle, there's an emergency at home, there's an emergency at work. Something that causes our motivation to go elsewhere. So the question is the effort to still do what's necessary there? And a strong starter, somebody in our first category, often finds that as the motivation pivots, so does the effort. So these are people that start strong and then for reasons sometimes in their control, sometimes outside of their control, fall off. Sometimes just as rapidly or as radically as they start. And this particular individual, which we're talking about, that I'm dealing with and trying to kind of help to find that right place again, is one of those. Started very, very strong every day, never missed a session. And then of course life happened, work happened, family happened. There's a lot of obligations, and I'm not taking away from any of those responsibilities. But the question at the end of the day is, when those inevitably come up and when life inevitably presents you with challenge, how do you react? What effort do you put forth?
Right.
And for those people, that's the difficulty. It's good when motivation's good, but how do they find the effort and the discipline when motivation isn't there?
What do you allow to derail you?
Right.
Because you're in control of that. And in one case we were talking about, it would be someone who calls and says, I went to bed late, so I'm going to cancel my workout tomorrow.
Right.
Well, you could still show up and you could be tired and sleepy, but you can still keep going to make yourself not lose that ritual, not lose that habit and pattern that you're trying to develop in your life.
Of course. And I'll share an anecdote with you because I think it's very effective, and I've used it with this individual before to some success. I want everybody at home to realize that, in my humble opinion, success or failure is simply a repetition of behavioral patterns. And we've touched on this point before in previous videos, but I want to bring it back again. Anytime we're presented with a challenge, we have basically a fork in the road, right? There's where we know what we should do, and then there's sometimes where we're getting ready to make an excuse or make an allowance for something that is an atypical behavior. So for example, you're used to going to the gym every morning at 7 o'clock. You're presented with a challenge that is going to not allow you, or at least offer a high amount of challenge to the realistic expectation of you coming in and doing what you do at 7 o'clock. So here's the challenge. Are you going to go or are you not going to go? In the event that you do not go, and this is the danger and the whole point of this message, which is why I'm sharing it with the viewers now, what is going to happen in the hypothesis as we play it out, the hypothetical situation where you cancel on the 7 o'clock appointment or don't go? The fact of the matter is as much as we might beat ourselves up inside or feel guilty that we didn't do what we thought we were supposed to do, we're not going to die. No tragedy is going to be incurred as a result of missing a 7 o'clock workout.
Right.
And that's part of the problem.
That's right.
Is because nothing negative really happens or is incurred as a result of that decision being made.
Yeah.
The behavior isn't squashed.
Yeah.
It's not penalized.
Right.
So the next time that life inevitably presents us with this same decision to be made, do I go or do I not go?
It's easier not to go.
Right. We fall back on what we've done most recently, and it doesn't matter.
Right.
That's the way the brain works. It's a constant refresh and restarting process. You could have gone to the gym at 7 a.m. for the last 7 years.
Yeah.
But if you didn't go last time, what do you think's going to be on your mind?
Right.
The time you didn't go last or the 7 years prior?
Exactly.
It's the last time. It's
That's
the most recent experience.
Exactly.
So if I want everybody who's watching this video to think about their own behaviors, the kind of the mental battle they have with themselves in each and every case.
Yeah.
And know that each decision, good or bad, is reinforcing a pathway.
Right.
So sometimes we talk about going through the motions and we talk about it in a bad connotation. But I want you to realize that sometimes that's exactly what you need to do. Because the alternative is developing a pattern of negative behavior.
Exactly. Exactly. And that can be allowing someone to interrupt your workout. That can be wanting to socialize in the gym when you shouldn't be. That can be keeping your cell phone with you while you're lifting weights, and on your 6th or 7th rep when you need to be putting maximal effort in, you hear the ding that says you just got an email and your mind leaves where you were. It doesn't make sense. Do you allow that? Do you stand for that? What you tolerate becomes a part of your life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you tolerate it long enough, then it becomes your norm. And that norm isn't what you're going to want.
Exactly. So those are the folks that we wanted to deal with first and foremost, is again the strong starters, but then they make allowances, they reinforce negative behaviors, or they lose motivation, and they
in
allow
sports we see it. The guy who comes out of the gate hard and fast, you're like, this rookie is going to be amazing. He's the next so and so, or she's the next so and so. But then they fizzle out because they let the fame get to them, or maybe they get into drugs, or they allow bad people into their life. So what's category 2?
Category 2 is the folks that place minimal effort versus maximal effort. So, and I'm sure that this is something that reigns true for everyone at home as well. We all know, especially if you spend any time at a commercial gym environment, certainly, we all know that there's the regulars, right? There's the group of people that you can always depend on. You can set your watch to them coming in and out of the gym every day, every week. They're dependable, they're consistent. So it's not a question of, is there effort being made? Clearly there is. But if you look at a majority of these people very closely, sometimes we realize in the majority of cases that these people don't change. They certainly don't change in an expectation that's congruent with their presence in the gym. So certainly I think normal people would kind of scratch their head and go, this person is here every day. They're always here. They're always here. But why do they look the same that they looked 6 months ago, a year ago, 3 years ago? And the answer is minimal effort versus maximal effort, and that's category 2. These are people that allow themselves to do just enough to be complacent, but they don't do enough to really stimulate change.
An example is you see her sitting on the exercise bike, pedaling, and she's not pedaling too hard because she's reading a magazine. She actually can take her hand off the handle and flip the page and hold on again and read. And she's pedaling. How is that effort going to create adaptation? It's not stressing her body enough to cause that adaptive change.
And more often than not, I mean, I'm no doctor, and obviously every case is individual, but in most cases, it's not even enough effort to be effective as cardiovascular exercise, because, I mean, that's ultimately why you're doing it. I mean, I believe that and most people probably watching this aren't huge fans of cardio. There is obviously a small percentage of the population that really enjoys it, and I respect and admire that. But most of us want to get cardio out of the way as fast as possible. But with that in mind, we have to understand what the purpose of cardio is. It's not to torture yourself, but it's also not a recreational activity either. It's not something that's supposed to be so casual that we don't even break a sweat. You know, the purpose is to elevate the heart rate, to get in the zone, to burn calories, and ultimately reduce body fat. So we have to appreciate, why are we here in any given moment? What's the purpose? What's the plan? What am I here to achieve? What am I here to do? What are my goals? And then we need to make sure that the effort that we make is adjusted to meet those goals. If you're like, I need to lose 5 pounds, I need to lose 20 pounds, I need to lose 50 pounds, and you think that the stationary bike would be part of your plan, then by golly, you owe it to yourself and to your goals when you're on that stationary bike to be doing something effective, to maximize the effort in a way that's going to help you achieve those results as fast as possible.
Because you'll burn almost the same amount of calories sitting on your couch reading that magazine.
Yes, quite possible. It might be a good magazine. So that's really good. So to encapsulate the folks in category 2, and this may be some of the people watching, is minimal effort. So obviously they're making the effort of going into the gym, doing something physical. But when it's compared up against maximal effort, which is what they could be doing if they really challenged themselves with the time that they were there and the time that they were already dedicated and spending towards this venture, what better results they could see. Results. So moving on to category 3, we have folks that high amounts of effort is not the question.
That's right.
So these are the folks that, like our folks in category 2, are always there. They're always in the gym. They're working very hard. There's no question of the amount of effort that they're putting forth, but sometimes the effort is misplaced.
I saw a guy with an arm sling in the gym the other day.
Yeah.
You see him?
I have.
He had that bar on his shoulders, and he had a sling, so clearly he's got some kind of busted shoulder or elbow. He's still doing squats.
Yes.
So you're like, man, there's some effort right there. Nothing's holding him back. So these are kind of like that, that person.
Absolutely. So effort is not a question, but the question is, where is the effort going? So sometimes we're all human. Especially in the realm of fitness, there's so many different, opinions. There's so many different experts. There's so many different recommendations. There's so many different approaches and disciplines that it can be pretty radically overwhelming for the majority of people who are trying to achieve goal X, Y, or Z. And for that reason, they're ready and they're passionate and they're motivated about giving maximal effort towards the achievement of a goal. But they don't necessarily know how to funnel it. So for me, I think of that person, to use a metaphor, like putting a rope onto a bottle rocket and firing it off, and they're trying to hold it down as it just goes like this. Because there's not a question of effort. It's a question of where is it going? How do I control it? How do I funnel it into something that's going to be productive, that's going to be effective? And the problem is a lot of these people often will slam their heads against a metaphorical wall because they're running full speed. Again, as a byproduct of their commitment to their goal and their effort, but it's going in the wrong places. So they're like, I want to do this, and they hit their head. And they're like, I want to lose weight, so I want to go all into keto diet. And they're super motivated, and keto has its place, right? But it's not a one size fits all. It doesn't work well for everybody. So some of these people are like, I got word from a friend or a girlfriend that this really worked for her, so I'm going to make it work for me. And they dive into the deep end, right? So the effort's there, the motivation's there, the passion's there, but it's not right for them, or it's not achievable, or it's not sustainable. And so for that reason, they're floundering, they're plateauing, they're not seeing the results they want to see. So sometimes these people can be misguided, because again, as a result and a byproduct of that effort being placed in the wrong spot. So for those people, I would advise them to always keep an open mind, always be willing to have conversations with your peers, with people who know more than you. Always I live my life every day under the preponderance that I don't know it all. And there's always going to be somebody else who knows more than I do in any given topic. And if I should happen to meet that person, I'm going to be willing to entertain that person in a conversation such that I leave that conversation with more knowledge than I had going in. And fitness is a fantastic way to do that. One of the tips that I give to early beginner athletes, especially performance athletes, sport athletes, competitive athletes, a practice that I have done and been tried and true, committed to for many, many years as a physique athlete and aesthetic athlete. I've worked out in a lot of gyms all up and down the East Coast, and when I see somebody who has a particularly impressive body part, male or female, and I say, wow, their shoulder development is incredible, or look at that back width or thickness, or their legs have incredible shape and definition, I will go up to that person without an ounce of reservation, and I will commend them, and I will start a conversation, and I will say, this is incredibly impressive. How did you achieve this? And I step back, even as a fitness professional, I voluntarily take the role of student and say, teach me something I don't know about the way that you were able to achieve X, Y, or Z, and see if there's something I can learn from it. And then, so just always be open, have conversations. And some really, really profound and meaningful relationships and friendships in my life have come from that very conversation. Years, some of my closest friends of years started off with something as simply as me saying, wow, you look really impressive. Tell me something that I don't know. And it starts from there, and you never know where it's going to go.
Nobody would ever accuse Michael Jordan of not putting enough effort in. And he was in category 3 because he was working hard and he wasn't able to win a championship. And then he heard about a guy named Tim Grover who was a personal trainer who actually went to Jordan's agents and people and said,
Right.
let me train him. Because he had found out that Michael Jordan tried to lift weights and hurt his back. He tried doing deadlifts or something. He hurt his back so bad he couldn't move for a little bit. And so it was all over the news about him hurting his back lifting weights.
Yeah.
He said, let me help him. So he earned himself a meeting with Michael Jordan in Jordan's living room. Jordan said, fine, I'll do what you say. And then he started putting on some muscle, putting on some strength, and then he started winning championships, and I'm sure everybody knows the rest of the story.
Right, of course. And then that is a perfect example. Is, Michael Jordan represents a beautiful transition from category 3 into category 4.
Yeah.
And obviously it took the catalyst of his strength and conditioning coach to help make that transition possible. And that's kind of my advice to the people that find themselves in category 3 is look for the catalyst, look for the thing that's going to help you funnel that energy and effort into a more productive venue, and because that's what it's going to take you from a category 3 into ultimately a category 4, which makes a great segue for this conversation. And a category 4 would be the effective effort, right? The effective effort giver, the constant changer. I mean, whatever term you want to put on it. This is the person that no matter their goal always seems to achieve it. They're the winner. And there are people like that. I mean, I don't think you have to look very hard to find people, even in your own life. I know that I know a few of them, and I'm fortunate enough to count them as friends, but people that just seem to just never know failure in any aspect. And it starts as a mindset, and then it's a behavioral pattern, and then, it just kind of seemingly manifests itself out of thin air. And, none of that's by accident. These are people that understand the plan. They understand the places in which their effort should be placed. They're very effective at knowing how. Sometimes if you look at a bird's eye view, they seem stretched thin. They seem like workaholics. They seem like people that are very committed to a goal, very ambitious. But the fact of the matter is that they know themselves so well that they parse out their efforts so intelligently and meticulously that everything is done to a plan to service a greater goal. And so these are the people that if they want to gain weight, they gain weight. And it doesn't happen in 6 years. It happens in 6 months. And then if they want to trim down for summer and lose 12 pounds, guess what? They lose 15.
Yeah.
And then then they're like, oh, I want to get a little bit bigger. They get a little bit bigger. And it's just, these are the people that you scratch your head and go, what is this? What is this person doing? What do they know that I don't know? What's the pill that they're taking that I can take?
Yeah.
And that's just a representative of category 4, which was obviously Michael Jordan, not Michael Jackson. Maybe Michael Jackson as well. In the realm of pop music, it's hard to argue that he wasn't.
Right.
But Michael Jordan, once he had that catalyst in his strength and conditioning coach that allowed him to take his effort from this wide scatter shot to a narrow eagle-eye focus, it allowed him to make that transition where he was then, the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
And, sometimes that's what it takes. But there's really this is more of a conversational category because I don't know the answer. I know that these people exist. Right. I know some of them. Yeah. And I know that it's something that I feel like on some level in parts of our lives we should all strive towards.
Exactly.
But I don't necessarily know the prescription on how to get there.
Right.
Still working on it.
Right. All right, let's give them some advice.
Okay.
So if you found that you go, oh, that's category 1, that's me. I fly out of the gate.
Yep.
But then I see rabbit and I chase the rabbit and I just I lose focus and so on. For that person, I would say just make a determined effort to not derail.
Yeah.
Once you get on track, you stay on track. You don't allow anything to distract you.
That's right.
Derail you. You stay focused. You're doing the right things, but you're going to fall off. That's the New Year's resolution that they do go hard through January, but then February they forget what their New Year's resolution was. Category 2 advice is you're already going. You're already doing things. You're already there. Just do another rep. Just add a little weight. Work a little harder. Break a sweat. Pedal harder. Throw away the magazine. You don't need it. You're there for a different reason. You're not there to educate yourself or entertain yourself. You're there to get something done on a physical level to get stronger and better looking. So put all your effort into it. And category 3, the simplest advice is find a coach.
Yeah.
Find the person that knows what they're talking about. I found Deven. He's been coaching me. I haven't missed a workout in 10.5 weeks.
Yeah.
And I don't intend to. I want to be that category 4 person.
That's right.
And so category 4, we don't have any advice.
Yeah, congratulations.
So, good job. Way to go.
Exactly. Maybe you should come on the next video and tell us how you do what you do.
Exactly.
Yeah. So thanks everyone watching this. Thank you for making it all the way to the end. I know it's an incredible discussion topic. It's really good. It's a good self-inventory, self-searching kind of discussion to have. And that's really what I find is most important to success or failure, is just be willing to take a look inside. Be willing to do a self-survey and just be like, where am I coming up short? Where am I doing well? Be proud of the places that you're doing well and making progress, but at the same time, be critical of those places where you're not.
That's right.
And be willing to shoot up the red flare and say, hey, look, I need help. Like, can somebody help me? Is there a resource? Is there an expert? Is there a friend? Is there a confidant? Somebody that I can rely on to help me kind of get back on the right path. And then I think that as long as we all as a group, stay committed to just self-betterment, that I think we'll all eventually get to where we want to be. And before long, you'll just wake up one day and hopefully be in category 4.
Right. That's right. Very cool. So listen, if you have anything that's holding you back as far as injuries or concerns or health issues, come talk to us at Mid-Atlantic Chiropractic Center. And also at the same time, I highly recommend you start at One Life Fitness. You walk in, get yourself a week-long pass, get your feet wet, figure it out, see how it's going. Deven will meet with you, talk to you, and then you may want to hire him as your trainer to work through this with you, because the fastest way to get to where you want to go is to hang around people who have been there and done it and know the roadmap and get you there. So hopefully you'll swing by One Life Fitness South on Buckystown Pike, and you tell them you saw the video and you want to get started, and we'll help you the rest of the way. Have a great time, great day. We'll see you next video.
Take care.